November 22nd, 1986, Las Vegas. A 20-year-old Mike Tyson steps into the ring to face Trevor Berbick, the same man who retired Muhammad Ali. 2 rounds later, the world changes. Tyson becomes the youngest heavyweight champion in boxing history. But that night wasn't a miracle. It was the result of years of discipline, obsession, and pain, a prophecy fulfilled for a kid from Brownsville, Brooklyn, who once swore he'd avenge his hero. "I'm gonna be the best ever," a teenage Tyson once said, and on that November night, he proved it. But before the lights of Las Vegas and the roar of the crowd, there was just a boy angry, lost, and desperate for direction. Let's go back to where it all began. 1. The boy from Brownsville. Tyson came from the shadows of Brownsville, Brooklyn, where you learned fast or you didn't last. Sirens were background music. Streetlights flickered like dying stars. Mike Tyson was quiet, heavy-eyed, and misunderstood. Beneath the silence, anger built like pressure behind a dam. Fights weren't sports. They were survival. Every punch was a sentence in a language of pain and pride. He was small for his age, but dangerous. The kind of kid who looked older in the eyes than the body could explain. Trouble followed him through school halls, through juvenile centers, until fate intervened in the shape of a man named Cus D'Amato. 2. The mentor and the mission. Cus D'Amato wasn't just a trainer, he was an alchemist, the kind who turned rage into gold. Where others saw a lost boy, he saw a champion in disguise. "He's a warrior," Cus told anyone who would listen, "and I'll make him the youngest heavyweight champion in history." Under Cus's watch in Catskill, the kid became a student of boxing philosophy. He learned rhythm, geometry, psychology, and how to think while breaking bones. Cus taught him that fighting wasn't about hate. It was about control, timing, discipline. The gym became a sanctuary. Every bag that swung, every glove that cracked against leather was another step away from the streets. He studied the greats like scripture: Dempsey, Lewis, Patterson, Ali. He mimicked their movements, absorbed their strengths, then built something new, something faster, denser, more dangerous. Cus spoke often of destiny. Tyson listened, and for the first time in his life, he believed that destiny could belong to him. 3. The making of Iron Mike. Discipline turned into obsession. At 17, Tyson was already a hurricane in gloves, knocking out men twice his age in amateur tournaments. At 19, he went pro. The world didn't know what to make of him. He wore black trunks, black shoes, no socks, no robe, and no smile. He entered every fight like a weapon being unsheathed. No dancing, no flash, no wasted motion. Just purpose. Every bout ended faster than the one before. Opponents taller, heavier, more experienced all fell the same way, under the first storm of punches. He didn't just fight, he hunted. A slip of the head, a step forward, then the explosion hooks, uppercuts, body shots like hammer blows. People compared him to a young Joe Frazier, to Liston, to Dempsey. But Tyson wasn't a copy. He was an evolution, the embodiment of every great fighter distilled into one unstoppable force. Still, inside the fighter, there was a promise burning quietly. 4. The promise to Ali. Muhammad Ali, the legend, the man who floated like poetry and stung like prophecy, faced his twilight. 2 losses in a row. First to Larry Holmes, then to Trevor Berbick. Age and illness had stolen his speed, his grace, his magic. A 15-year-old Tyson watched, fists clenched, heart aching. To him, Ali wasn't just a fighter. He was a god. Seeing him beaten down felt personal, like watching the sky crack. After Ali's loss to Berbick, Tyson made a vow, quiet but absolute. "I'll avenge him," he said. "I'll make that man pay." That promise became his purpose. Every punch in training, every sprint at dawn, every drop of sweat, all of it led toward that night he would meet Berbick in the ring. 5. The loss before the glory. Before fight night, tragedy came. In November 1985, Cus D'Amato, the man who saved Tyson, died. The loss hit harder than any punch. At the funeral, Tyson carried Cus's coffin through the Catskill chill, face empty, heart collapsing inward. He had lost his father, his compass, his anchor. But grief didn't break him. It hardened him. "Cus believed in me," he said later. "Now I have to believe for both of us." He went back to the gym, driven not by ambition now, but by memory. He would fulfill the prophecy. He would make good on the dream they had built together. 6. The rise of a phenomenon. By 1986, Tyson was no longer just a boxer, he was a phenomenon. Reporters followed him everywhere. Fans crowded every arena. Promoters whispered about the kid who knocks out men like falling trees. His record? 27 wins, 25 knockouts. Each opponent heavier, older, more confident until the bell rang. Then they folded under the same merciless rhythm. The media called him a machine, but those who knew him saw something else. A young man still fighting ghosts, fighting to prove that Cus had been right. Then came the announcement. Trevor Berbick, WBC heavyweight champion, the same man who retired Muhammad Ali, would defend his title against 20-year-old Mike Tyson. The stage was set. Vegas lights burned bright. The crowd filled with faces from every corner of fame: Stallone, Hearns, Eddie Murphy, Ali himself. The prophecy was about to be tested. 7. The night the world stood still. Las Vegas, November 22, 1986. Tyson walked to the ring with no music, no robe, just a white towel cut into a poncho, draped over his shoulders. His face was carved from stillness. Across the ring, Berbick laughed, confident, bigger, older. "He doesn't impress me," he'd said before the fight. "I'll knock him out after the 7th. The bell rang. Tyson moved like a bullet let loose. No hesitation, no fear. Just cold, deliberate violence. In the first round, he stalked Berbick, ducking under punches, slipping inside, unleashing body shots that cracked like thunder. Every blow carried a message. This is for Ali. This is for CUS. Berbick tried to hold, tried to smile through the pain. But Tyson's combinations came faster, shorter, and meaner. The second round began, and history came with it. A left hook exploded against Berbick's temple. His legs betrayed him. He fell once, twice, like a man drowning in the open air. The crowd roared, sensing the inevitable. Tyson followed with a right hand, another hook, and Berbick went down again, struggling to rise, stumbling across the canvas like the ring itself had tilted beneath him. The referee stepped in. It was over. In 2 rounds, Mike Tyson had become the youngest heavyweight champion in history. 8. The moment and the memory. The arena was chaotic. Reporters poured into the ring. Cameras flashed. People screamed his name. But Tyson didn't celebrate. He stood there, still as stone, eyes distant as if the victory had been decided long ago. When the microphone found him, his words were simple. "I dedicate this to Cus D'Amato. He told me this would happen." For a second, he looked upward, maybe toward the old man who once told him he'd be great. Maybe toward something even higher. Around him, legends watched Ali, the man he had avenged. Holmes, Stallone, Hearns, all witnessing the dawn of a new era. At that moment, Mike Tyson wasn't just a fighter. He was the embodiment of destiny fulfilled. At 20 years old, he had climbed from the streets of Brownsville to the peak of the boxing world. He had fought through loss, fear, and the weight of expectation, and stood where no one else had stood before. The prophecy was complete. Mike Tyson was the youngest heavyweight champion of the world.